Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is about a new indicator called Easy Exit. And holy cow, am I excited about this. I very rarely send something off to coding to have it come back even better than I expected. And that happened here with this exit indicator. I am shook, you guys. I'm loving Easy Exit. It has really maximized my profit potential with the trades that I'm taking. I'm going to show you guys how to get into it, but let me quickly explain to you what I mean by that. I'm going to show you a few trades that I did take starting on February 13th and ending February 28th. To be fair, this trade actually still would be running. You'll understand more when I show you how to use the indicator. But yeah, this trade would have still been running and you probably would have gotten way more than even the 4. I did close this out because this was a Friday afternoon and I didn't want to hold my trade through the weekend and I was already 4% in profit. So I was good with that. If you guys follow me along, you know that I typically go for like a 1.5 to a 2R. Sometimes I'll trail along and I get like more, but I don't usually hold for much more than a 1.5 or like a 2R. I'm happy and I'm good to take my trade and close it out. But this has been a game changer. As you can see, I've had a 3. I did have a 2 instead of getting like a 1.2, and I had a 4R and another 3R when I would have normally been taking more like 1.5 to 2s. And I'll get into this more, like I said, but you can kind of see like what my rewards would have been. A 2R here. I would have had a 1.2 here. I've had a 1.5 and a 1.5. So this has definitely maximized my trades. As you can see on the side, I even kind of wrote it at the top. Like I went from what would have been a 6.2% gain week to a 12.54. I doubled my reward in 1 week using this. I am blown away, truly blown away. And I know I do not get blown away by very many things anymore when it comes to this stuff. But yeah, I'm loving this. So let me show you guys how this works. Okay, so the easy exit indicator has 2 components to it. One is these zones. So that is what you're seeing, these blue bars that are coming across my screen. Those are zones. A lot of you who follow me, you know that I am a zone trader. I trade zone to zone and I trade the breakouts or I trade a breakout and a retest. This will work for either. If you're a breakout trader or a breakout and retest trader, this definitely can work for you. I am loving these zones. I have had a very hard time finding a indicator that will print a zone that I like, that felt like that's an area I would mark. And then I've also had a really hard time finding one that would do it on a higher time frame and bringing it down to my entry time frame. If you're looking at my chart, what you'll see is I actually have these zones and you can see this little 2-hour number that is here. These are 2-hour zones being brought down to my 1-hour time frame that I'm showing you. So I love that there's some flexibility here. I will disclaimer this, with this will work on any time frame. You can do this with anything. You can go higher, lower, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to bring into your chart, you can. You can also just use the zones for the time frame that you're on. You're also going to see some dots, these little yellow, orange, and red dots on the screen. Those are helping you identify areas where you should be looking to take profit and get out of the market. Those are the ones that have been allowing me to hold and extend my trades beyond what I would typically mark myself. Using something like these zones, where now it takes that subjectiveness out of it and kind of makes it more objective, because everyone will have the same zone print on their chart if you're using the same settings for this indicator. Now, let me disclaimer that with that does not mean you should not know how to identify zones. You want to make sure you understand what the indicator is doing and why it's printing a zone there. So making sure that you understand still how to read a chart and understand why a zone might be marked and where it's marking it, but you don't need to put in the time to actually mark yourself anymore. The dots, though, are the actual star of the show, and those are the reason that you would hold a trade even longer. Instead of just targeting like a zone that I would have marked, like for instance, this one over here to the left that says self-marked targeted level, instead of targeting something like that and settling for a smaller reward like this 1.69, if you guys know how I mark, you know that I usually go to the beginning of the zone. So in this case, we're looking for buys. I would look for the support of the next level. I like to take the more probable trade instead of going all the way to the top of that zone. I would have gotten like a 1.69. That falls kind of in my shooting for more than a 1.5R. And yep, that would have worked. So that's a trade I would have taken. And I would have won it, which would have been great. I would have been happy. But this indicator never prints a dot. So what that means is that I can still continue to hold. What I've been doing is kind of using my logic of like targeting that 1.5 area, using kind of the zones that I'm used to, but then also waiting for a dot. And if a dot doesn't come, I continue to hold that trade. And what I will do is like wait to see where the market structure is being formed, look for levels of retest, look for areas of retracement, and then trailing my trade along, securing it and keeping it safe so I don't lose profit, and then waiting to see if I get a dot. You can see here what I do. I marked it up at a 4R. There is an orange dot. When you get a dot, you want to potentially look to be maybe getting out. I'll quickly explain to you guys a yellow dot. When you see a yellow dot, that's like if that's your first dot to print, that's kind of like a, hey, something's coming. You should really look to secure your trade. In my opinion, you should really be moving to break even or looking to get like a little bit of profit if you can. If you can safely trail, you definitely should. That's more ideal. But if you can't yet, you definitely move to break even if you see a yellow dot. If you see an orange dot and you've decided to hold beyond the yellow dot and you decide to, break even or trail it, and then you get an orange dot, I do suggest maybe getting out at an orange dot because usually you're only going to get a little more out of that move before the red dot prints. And when you get a red dot, that is a hard stop. Get out of the market if you see a red dot. Something is coming. Now, the market may push a little more, it might consolidate and then reverse on you, but it is not worth it to get those little extra bit of money. Trust me, it's not worth it. Just get out if you see the red dot. You can always wait to get back in. So if you're trending really well, you may see that a red dot will print with a retracement and then it will continue in your overall direction. That's fine. You can always get back in on those retracements, especially when you're coming back into a zone and then breaking back through it. You have a lot of versatility with this indicator. Let's talk about the actual settings that I'm using so you guys can kind of follow along with these markups, why you would enter and then exit. Coming over to our easy exit indicator here, we'll go to our settings and here is what I have. So now remember, I am on the 1 hour time frame. I'm showing you guys this on NASDAQ 100. You can use this on a lot of different time frames. If you're in the community and you watch the tutorial videos we made, which was a little more general because like I said, this is so versatile. You can use this with any entry model too. You don't have to use these zones. I just personally am a zone trader, so this is like a win-win for me with this indicator. But you can use any entry model you like and then just applying the dots if you want for help with an exit idea. But I like both. So I put both on. I am showing you guys on the 1 hour because this is where my life has been. We are so busy in the trading floor right now. So I have been on the 1 hour time frame. I know a lot of people ask, like, do you not use the 5 minute anymore or the 15 minute or the 1 minute? I use all of those time frames. It really just depends on my life and what's going on in it. Right now, the 1 hour time frame is making the most sense for me, but I'm loving it. So I might stay here for a little bit, you guys. This has been a really crazy good. And it gives you a lot of time to get into the charts. So if you are somebody who likes to still day trade, but you might want to maybe hold for a couple of days, but be done and out of your trades by the end of the week, these settings that I'm showing you, these may work for you. If you like them, this might be a better idea for you to use. Now, if you're an actual day trader, you want to be in the morning and out by the close of market, I would suggest watching the video that I did and using the settings that I show in the tutorial video on the trading floor website because that's a 15-minute time frame and I show you guys how that will work as well. I was using that a lot prior to the release of this indicator, but then again, like I said, life has been very busy. 1 hour fits me best. So these are the 1 hour settings that I've been using. Feel free to play with these. This is such a versatile indicator. If you don't know what to play with because you're feeling like you're not sure how to make it work, definitely shoot us a message in the community and you can ask in strategy support room. I am happy to help you or somebody else in the staff can help you figure out the settings that will work best for your system. But this is very versatile. So there are all kinds of ways you can manipulate these dots to work with your particular entry and exit models that you're creating. Okay, so when we're looking at the settings here, I do not change the length or the multiplier. I keep those the same. That's your trend bias. I don't really mess with that too much. I like to keep that just how it is. I care about the exit times and then the zone timeframes. When we're looking at this, what I will look at is exit one. Exit one is a 1 hour time frame. That's my chart that I'm on. You could have one or you could just click on chart. It won't change as you can see in the background. Exit 2, I use the next higher time frame, which is the 2 hour, and then exit 3 is the 4 hour. When we're talking about the exits, what that means is this is going to show you the dots. That means it is pulling the information for you to create the yellow, orange, and red dots. And those dots are being formed based off of those time frames that you selected there. So if you want a yellow dot to print, an orange, or a red, those are going to print based off of the data that's being collected from whatever time frames you enabled in your exit 1, 2, or 3. Now, you do not have to keep these exits on. You don't have to keep all 3 on. We can get rid of some of them. As you see, we'll just have our yellow dot. So the yellow dot will only print for whatever data is being collected from the 1 hour time frame. The orange dot will be printing from any data collected from the 2 hour time frame, and then the red dot is being collected for any data being collected from the 4 hour time frame. Bear in mind, you can definitely play around with these settings. You can change them however you want. As you can see, there's tons and tons of time frames you can mess with and do that with. Just remember that your exit 1 is your yellow, your exit 2 is your orange, your exit 4 is your red dot. But these are the settings that I've been working with and I was using for these trades that you're going to see. Now, the other option you can do is putting your zones on. Definitely another versatile thing you can play with. If you like to have your zones on for the time frame that you're working on, you would just do enable here, and that would do it for your chart time zone. So your time that you're working on, and that'll turn the zones on. As you can see, there this color that pop up. I don't really care for them. I don't like extra clutter on my charts. The only time I will put them on is if there's a really big distance between my higher time frame zones, and then I might pop one of them on for a mid zone idea. But typically, I keep this off. If you want to play with the max zones, you can definitely change this number. I have 5 here, but if we put 15, you're going to see a bunch more will pop up in a minute. Kind of crazy. You can extend on or off. Extending on means it's going to pull it all the way over for you so you can see it. If you unselect send, then you can just see a chunk of area where that zone is before another one prints. This is my recommendation if you're going to use a high number, like, beyond 5 or so, just so it doesn't feel so cluttered. But if you need to see it or you want to see if there's a zone that maybe you don't know is on there, then click on extend and it will pull that zone over for you. As you can see, that happened. I personally like it off. I don't even like my time frame on. I really just want to see my higher time frames because I like to trade with multiple time frames and using the higher time frame to my advantage. So as I mentioned earlier, you can see the 2 hour written in the zone there. And this is the same concept. You could do extend only, or you can do closest zone only. That will allow you to only see it for the zone that you are currently working on. So what I'm going to show you here was an old example. You can see the zones all disappeared in the back. When I bring it over, you can see that it extends it over because I did select to extend it over, and it's going to print only the closest zone to where the market currently is. So if you don't want all that clutter on your chart with a bunch of zones being marked up, having a zone way at the top up here because, there is a zone up there, but you're not really worried about what's up there right now because the market's way down here, you can just select the option for closest zone only, and that'll allow you to just see the current zone that it's working within. I like to see a little more than just the closest zone personally, so I do take that option off, but every now and then I will pop it on just to kind of give an idea of where it's at. But for the most part, I don't use that. But I know for some people's systems and style trading, that may benefit you. So that's why that option is there. These are my inputs for my settings, so you guys can see what I personally am using with my style trading right now. And if you had questions about settings, please do feel free to ask in the community because I'm happy to help you guys tinker with them a little bit to get them to work for you and how you need them. But I definitely suggest changing up the settings from the default settings unless you're going to follow something like what I'm showing here or what I showed in the tutorial in the community. Or Jay also has shown a few videos on YouTube, on the TTF YouTube, about how he's been using it. Arty also has a video that he showed where he was going back through and realizing how much extra he could have made out of his trades. So definitely check out all that content. TTF YouTube has a few videos about this as well. And Arty also put one up on his YouTube as well. I'll try to link them below for you guys in the description box so that way you can check out the other videos about this if you are interested. Okay, so diving into an actual entry here, what it would look like and how to target a take profit. As I explained, this is a breakout style entry. Entry model can be whatever you would like. I'm a breakout trader, so this is an example of how a trade would look for me. So what you would have is you have your zone here on your 2 hour marked. You have the market coming up to that zone and breaking it. And with that candle, you would enter at the close of it. Your stop loss, typically what I have done, and you guys have seen is like usually I'll look for an area below, like a zone of some sort to target. But what's nice is that these zones have been honestly really good for stop loss placements. And in some cases, like this case, they've been allowing me to keep a little bit of a tighter stop loss. And I've been doing fine as far as the retest go. As you can see, that wick does retest. I would have been fine here. I wouldn't have been stopped out. This has definitely been helping me even with that too. Your stop loss can go underneath the zone that you are breaking out from. And then you can look to target the next zone. Now, I showing you here, like I said, the self-marked zone level. This is an actual zone as well that is being marked on the indicator. Either way, you would be targeting that take profit. Really pretty happy with my break evens or slightly in profits versus getting my full reward. If you've watched any of my trading series that I do when I do strategy wars, you'll see that happens a lot. So while they're not losses, they're not like really great wins, which is fine. It's how I've worked my system and it's always led me to stay consistently profitable. But it does suck, right? Like, let's be for real. Not being able to get your full maximum potential of a trade, it can hurt and it can definitely lead to some mindset issues. Now, I've been doing this a while and I've learned to trust in my system and overcome them. But I know for other traders, this is a frequent problem where when you're having issues where you're just constantly getting break evens and things like that, it can start to get you a little bit stressed out about your system. And then you're wondering, like, oh, like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Had I held that trade, the trade took off and I missed that whole move. The point of this indicator is to help you maximize these trades. So you will hopefully are able to hold longer and push past some of those comfort zones, as I would say, of like something like for me, like a 1.5 or just closing out at this level where I'd be like, it's fine, I'm good with that. Now, I don't want you to be greedy. I want you to be smart about trailing your trades. I've been doing that as well. But the point is that this can help you push past these zones. The market comes up to this zone, we get our 1.69, it looks like is what I would have probably settled for when it got there. And then it does not print a dot. There are no dots that are printing along the whole time that it takes for it to get to that point. Just make sure that you are securing your trade so you don't lose money in case it were to reject off of that level and go backwards. You just want to break even. And until you break out of this zone, you do not want to trail any tighter. You want to wait. So until the market gets out of this like ranging consolidation area that it's doing and pushes up at this area where it breaks, then you can look to now trail behind with this zone. So you can take your stop loss. And what you would do is trail behind at the bottom of the next new zone. And then you're allowing it to continue to run. So you're able to trail safely that way. At this point, following along with this trade, the market runs up to here and the orange dot prints at the close of this candle. As I said earlier, if you see an orange dot, I really would look to just take your profits. At that point, I think it's just worth taking your profits at versus trying to hold for a little bit more at this red dot. Now, you could have, you were pretty safe here if you were happy with your reward that you have gotten at this point, which would have been a decent, you definitely would have been over 1 R or so secured for sure. So you weren't losing money. You were always going to make money still. You could have decided to hold a bit further for that red dot to print and close. We are looking at this candle here, close of that one. So you would have made it a little bit higher, not that much to be honest. So that's why I'm saying, and there usually isn't that huge of a difference between them, but feel free to work out your plan, your trading strategy, however you would want around this. But that's my advice. Also, just make a note that there is not always going to be a red dot. Sometimes the red dot doesn't print for quite a while because it is pulling off of that higher time frame. That's your like most higher time frame that you have. So it doesn't always print right away the way that maybe you would hope for it to print. So that's why my other suggestion is just like buy the yellow and the orange dots. Really make sure you're trailing those trades because a retracement could come and knock you out if you're deciding to hold for a red. And you want to make sure that you're at least making something off of these trades and you're not just wasting away potentially a 4+R trade. That is my example here. And as I showed, I would have had a 4R with this bigger trade. I was just showing you with this smaller trade what that markup looks like. But ignoring this trade, if you're looking at this 1.69 is what I would have had if I just did my old style. I would have probably just taken my trade out there, honestly. Maybe I would have trailed a little closer, but I likely would have gotten stopped out and maybe even gotten less than 1.69 because it would have came back and hit my trail. With this new style of it, of waiting to this new zone print, and you get that break from here and following behind, that has been huge for me. Using the easy exit indicator has allowed me to go from what would have been a 1.69R at best to a 4R with this trade. You've now more than doubled your reward just by using the indicators. Now, like I said, you need to kind of understand how to use it. So hopefully this video helped, or if you're in the community, please go watch those tutorials and you can see how else you can use it. And definitely ask for help from the community. We are more than happy to help you guys with your settings, like I said. But it has been amazing. So that is an idea of how you would use it, how I've shown you it can make a difference. But let me show you the trades I had to take. This trade here was one that I took, and instead of getting what I normally would have probably targeted, again, looking at zones, I'll scroll out so you guys can see, having an area over here to the left, this area would have been an area I would have targeted. Targeting that area, I would have probably gone for about a 2R based off of where my stops and stuff would have been. So I want to make it clear, I didn't go all the way down here. Just so you guys understand, because I did show you can use the zones as a stop loss. I didn't do that here because I was comfortable with this like mid-level area of where the market was. But if you're uncomfortable or unsure about where to place stop losses and you're still learning, use the zones. The zones still would have given you a really nice reward. You still could have gotten almost like a 2R there. I'm a little more experienced, so my stop loss was just like under these candles. Like I said, I'm okay with that. But you can do whatever you want with that stop loss. Still would have worked out for you. The red dot print, as I said, red dots are get out. Doesn't matter that you might want to hold or secure. You should not do that at a red dot. Just take your profits. Taking the 3.16R for myself was more than I would have gotten with my basic 2 that I was targeting. So I was more than happy to close that trade out and get that 3.16%. Then as you can see the market ranges, there really wasn't any zones or anything for me to look at for a breakout. It was just kind of consolidating. And then there were some breakouts. Honestly, you could have taken these. I was not in the market on this day, on Wednesday. I was busy doing other stuff. And I didn't even get into the market on Thursday. It wasn't until the Friday that I was able to get into a trade. But there were a few breakout options here. There were some breakouts, retest options. You could have gotten into an entry with your stop loss above the zone. This is not me marking up every single trade option you could have taken. I'm just showing you the trades that I actually personally took and how easy exit has enhanced my percentage gain. I was not trading on Wednesday or Thursday. I did end up trading on Friday this week. You can see what that trade looks like. So instead of getting a 1.2R, meaning I would have targeted this zone, typically would have gone there to the like topish of that zone. Remember, I like higher probable trades, so I probably would have gone there. And that's a 1.31. I probably would have looked, so maybe tried to push it to a 1.5 somewhere and maybe hoping to get something like the bottom of this area. And that's what I would have had to settle for, which would have been fine. I would have been happy with that even. But again, looking for dots and knowing that I have the ability to hold as long as the dot hasn't printed and the dot prints and the close of this candle. And that's more of like a 2R that I would have gotten. So I ended up getting more there. And then I do something called stacking. If you guys don't know what it is, go check out some of my videos. I've talked about it plenty in my videos. But when I see opportunities where I think that there might be a break, and then maybe another break and a retest, I will sometimes stack. In this case, I did have 2 trades that I did stack. And as you can see, I ended up getting a 4R on that first trade that I entered instead of a 1.5. The 1.5 would have been targeting this zone to the left. And honestly, it probably would have been a little less than a 1.5. I was being generous there because I tend to take the more probable trades. So I probably would have been closer to the top of that zone, maybe slightly in the middle there. And that would have been that first trade typically. And then maybe I would have re-entered into this second trade. But in this case, I got to hold because I never had a dot that printed. So I did hold. This was my exit number. As I said earlier in the video, a dot actually has not printed. And you can see the market did retrace a bit, but comes back and it's still going heavier. So you probably could be well over 5, I'm assuming at this point. Yep, you're well over 5R. And you definitely could have continued to hold if you're somebody who doesn't mind holding through the weekends. I don't like to hold through the weekends. I was more than enough here. I had a 4R on this trade, plus I had a 3.38 on my second trade that was running with this. So that stack trade was over 7 R for me. So I was not going into the weekend potentially losing my 7R. I was more than happy to close out those trades. But you could have continued to hold because the dot has not come yet to tell you to get out. But you definitely need to be trailing. If you are 7R in reward and you have not closed your trades and you want to continue to hold, you need to be securing your trades. So please make sure you do that. And this would be a good example of the way you would hold it. So the next zone prints, the market comes through and breaks out of it. You would want to then take your stop loss, secure at the next zone. So this would now, like if I was holding it, that's where your new stop loss would be at the top of that zone. And now your trade can continue to run down here. So you've secured all of this profit from where you've entered all the way down to this level here. Now, let me be for real. If you're trading that old style and you don't have like this indicator, you're not interested in it, 6.2% is still fabulous. Like I would have been ecstatic with my 6.2%, right? But to be able to double it, this has been mind blowing for me. I am really, really excited about this. I'm really loving the way it came out. And I wanted to make sure I shared it with all of you. I know people in the community were asking for a little more personal style. I try to keep that stuff out of the community and just keep it on my YouTube. So that way people don't get too confused about the way that things are done. But this is how I personally been working with it. For those of you who are not in the community, but you want to get access to this, maybe this is part of the trading floor community package that you get. So I'll link that in the description box below. It's the trading floor website that you go to. Click on that link, sign up for it there, and you get access to this along with a bunch of other indicators and the community and all the educational content and everything else that we offer you guys. So you can go ahead and check it out. And the spoiler alert is there's a ton more coming in the next couple of months. I would definitely get in and get started because you're about to see a whole bunch of stuff come out in the next couple of months from us that I just think is so cool and really, really excited about releasing. So that's my soapbox. I'll get off of it now. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope it was helpful for those of you who are looking for a little more direction on how I personally am using this and how it's improved my trades. I know a few of you are asking if I've seen any difference between it. And yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. I have seen a difference in it. And I am definitely excited to keep track of it and keep you guys updated on how much it's making a difference in my percentage gains. So all right, you guys, that is it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.